realm of politics, left and right. Left and right. I know everyone wants to use words like, oh, that person on the left is a communist, socialist, liberalist, Marxist, Stalinist. And on the right, the right gets it too. When they're called, oh, that's a neo-Nazi fascist. He's a bad man, or she's a bad girl. We hear these words using all the time, right? But the thing is, I want to focus on New York City. What's happening in New York City? Well, they got a brand new mayor, brand spanking new. Shout out to Jose Vega, shout out to Larry Sharp, shout out to Michael Voss, and shout out to my main guys, Due Dissidents. Hope everybody's doing well there. But Zohran Mamdani, he refuses and justifies his refusal for not backing the primary challenger to Hakeem Jeffries. See, to anyone on the right that's saying that Zohran Mamdani is going to bring in a socialist red wave, like, look, there might be some policies, but how many of those policies are going to get passed? Remember, this is New York City we're talking about. Major metropolitan city, Democrat hub, just like Chicago, okay? It's a Democrat hub. He got a phone call. The only reason why he won is because, one, he was by far the more shinier, brighter object in the primary challenge, and the establishment, listen, I'm going to say this again. Maybe you're eating too much of that New York style pizza. Perhaps maybe there is lead in your drinking water, because I don't know what you guys were thinking by having Cuomo be your main guy in the primary and then have him run as a quote unquote independent. Sorry, Mamdani got to sit down on a phone call. That's what happened, okay? Nothing. All this hype, it ain't going to happen. All this hype about him bringing all this stuff. If you were a diehard Zohran Mamdani supporter and you were thinking he was going to do this and that, no. He got to sit down. He got a phone call. Bring. Most notably, he talked about his phone call with Barack Obama. Mamdani, look, the establishment really sat on it and really crapped their pants. We weren't really paying attention. I'll be honest. Wasn't our A game. But you better follow orders, or I'm going to get Commissary at Hans and Deputy Fritz on you. And let me be clear. The beating will continue until your morale improves. Just saying. Because he went on the majority report. Zohran Mamdani went on the majority report and justified his reason for not backing a primary challenger, Hakeem Jeffries. Just like how AOC said, you guys, like totally, let's talk about the macro and micro about not helping out other progressive challengers. You see? It was all a game. It was all a trick. It was all a dream. And you don't have to believe me. Shout out to Hot Spot on the dot with this wonderful video. Hey, Zohran Mamdani, take it away, honey child.
And even in the conversation around, the question of primary challenges, and much of this I would say is typically private within DSA, but everything I've said has been reported publicly, so I might as well just speak about it to you directly. Is, I went to the endorsements forum that was considering whether or not to endorse C in that primary challenge. And what I said there is that this is not a question of the ballot box of who you would rather vote for. This is a question of how you want to spend the next year. Do you want to spend the next year fulfilling the agenda at the heart of this movement, or do you want to spend it defending the caricatures of that movement?
Perception drives reality. Do you have any idea how many of your followers that defend your character, Mr. Mamdani? You forgot? Oh, guys, he totally forgot. He totally forgot. See, this is why you can't reform the Democrat Party. Anyone who is thinking, or the idea of thinking that just as Democrats brain, I'm so glad. I'm so glad at least I did not put all my eggs in that basket. I was all for third parties and independents, but this whole idea of brand new Congress, just as Democrats, now you can reform it. No, you can't reform something that's inherently corrupt. And anyone that told you otherwise, hey, and even I believed in it a little bit. Even I did, but not too much. This is why you can't reform it, because it's a matter of character. Because here's the thing. When Matt Gaetz, former conservative Republican House representative, actually proved that forced to vote works, what does that tell you? Just a quick reminder, the only reason why Hakeem Jeffries endorsed Mamdani was because that was it. He begrudgingly had to because Cuomo's campaign was an absolute disaster. By the way, New Yorkers who voted for Cuomo, did you forget when he was governor? I mean, seriously, how many of you all forgot? Look, I know Chicago's got its problems. We got them in spades, all right? But it's sort of like, that crazy drunk waking up in the middle of the street and say, hey, you people got to get your act together. Seriously, NYC.
And the decision that I made and the one that I shared with other members that night as they were considering how to participate in that democratic process is to maximize every chance we have to fulfill the promises we made door after door, call after call, with many New Yorkers who had otherwise lost faith in politics years ago, so that we can tell them that success isn't just measured in the election we've already had, but also in our fulfillment of the agenda at the heart of that election.
Well,
and
yes.
I think that this.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Well, I don't know. And I was just going to say that I don't ever presume that everyone will come to the same conclusion as me. I don't think that dissent or critique is something that I'm above in sharing these decisions. But
oh God, look at these two, Emma, Sammy boy. It looks like their hope. Oh my God, I just noticed that. Look at them. Oh man, see again. When the Chicago election comes around, I'm not gonna be like, yes, this is our person. No, I'm gonna be like, okay, these are the people here. I don't even know who's gonna be running the city election, but damn, anybody to the most diehard Zohran Mamdani support, they probably look like this. Look at Sammy boy. He's like, what? Emma's like, what? And out there, Jimmy's just laughing. See, and in my opinion about Zohran, I mean, I knew he wasn't going to be the end all be all. A lot of us in this space, from Sabby to Dissidents, RBN, everybody was calling this out. Like this was going to happen, and people are shocked. It's like we've been in this. Some of us been in these trenches for 8 or 6 years. Some of us 10 years. Some of us longer. And it's like we see the signs. We see the signs. And boy, oh boy, did he do a Decepticon transformation. Is this funny? Yes. But man, look at their faces. Oh, God. Oh, man. Anyways.
That success isn't just measured in the election we've already had, but also in our fulfillment of the agenda at the heart of that election.
Well,
and
yes.
I think that this.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Well, I don't know. And I was just going to say that I don't ever presume that everyone will come to the same conclusion as me. I don't think that dissent or critique is something that I'm above in sharing these decisions, but they do come from this as my framework, and I think it's honestly helpful to be able to share it with people.
No, I appreciate that, and I'm just eager to ask you these things because we have you for such a limited time. Really, is one is it your kind of belief basically that delivering on your agenda in terms of the macro constituency that Sam was just speaking about is the best way to kind of show how the movement can expand and have more politicians like yourself across the country run in that way? And I would imagine that was motivating you and what you said to DSA. And two, does that mean that you're ruling out supporting primary challenges broadly throughout the city?
No, that I've made no sweeping decision on something at like a larger level as that. And to your first question, I think often about what Bernie said at our rally, which was that what our opponents in the campaign feared the most was the power of example. And that example is not of just winning the election. That's the example of delivering a rent freeze, of fast and free buses.
Uh-huh. But that's at the bottom of the agenda. That's what they're not telling you. Because remember, Bernie talks a big game, and then he brings up all the stuff that made us fall in love with him in the first place. And then you realize, oh, you're going to cuck out and spread them cheeks for the big blue Democrat donkey dong. Come on, folks. Wake up to reality and always be ready to be disappointed by politics. Just hearing this right there. I mean, you would think he would be ready for that. But no. Here. Let me share with you guys something. Shout out to Case Study QB. This is just only 8 seconds. Remember when he was asked if he'd endorse Hakeem Jeffries? Watch.
If Democrats win the midterms, do you want to see Leader Jeffries become the Speaker of the House?
Yes.
Okay. That was a firm, quick answer.
Firm and quick. Fast and furious. Fast 5.
Was the power of example. And that example is not of just winning the election. That's the example of delivering a rent freeze, of fast and free buses, of universal childcare, because those are things you can hold on to. Those are things that you can actually feel and see in your life. And so much of politics is this game of translation where a politician says something and then you have to jump through 10 hoops to understand how it relates to you, or if you're eligible, or if you hit the threshold. And these are not things that require that kind of a translation. These are things that are direct to our lives. And I think that it's, I remember when I was running for assembly, a friend of mine, Karen McCurdy, who's an incredible photographer who works on our campaign, I gave her the palm card that we had just designed with Anish, who actually created the logo for this mayoral campaign. And I thought it was the best palm card we'd ever made. And she looked at it and she said, "What do these words mean?" And we were just using a language that speaks only to a very specific set of people. And I think it just comes back to that you need to speak directly to people, you need to speak about policies that are also direct to their lives, and it all needs to be without translation. And so to me, once we succeed in the fulfillment of any part of this agenda, it becomes an example of why New Yorkers made the right decision to believe that politics could be more than this, as opposed to that they were wrong to have hope again.
Hope is the first path to disappointment. That's why I love Warhammer 40K. One of my favorite quotes. Hope is the first path to disappointment. And la la la, cha cha cha, for I will acknowledge your true Roman name. Sure, I was only pretending that I wasn't interested in national politics earlier. Exactly. La la la, cha cha cha, hitting the nail on the head. What's the big takeaway? Of course, no one should be surprised why he's not doing it, but he's part of DSA, but Justice Democrats, but AOC, Bernie, and everything else. No. Look, he's got a city to govern, and I get it. He's got to play the game of politics. Now, 2026 midterm election cycle. Knowing how these elections usually play out, the opposition party gains the House or Senate, or gains more seats in the House or Senate, or, well, each of our options, all right? Now, we don't really know how this will all fully play out because the Democrats are right now recovering from their massive beating that they got. And not to mention, they did get some recent wins. However, remember, this is the Democrat Party we're talking about. They'll find a way to crap the bed. There's a possibility in which they could win. And, hey, guess what? Democrats are going to tell you, hey, support us so we can impeach Trump, because they're going to be running on that. Hey, support us because we got to stop Trump because he's a bad man. And then they're going to send out emails, text messages, phone calls, letters, commercials on the TV or on the car radio telling you, hey, support us, give us money us now so we could do health care, student debt forgiveness, everything else, XYZ, until when it's finally over. Yeah, we can't do it because there's a blue dog Democrat, Senate parliamentarian. My foot got hurt. Oh, no. I electrocuted myself. Something of that nature. They'll find a way to wiggle out of it and deliver you nothing. Or who knows? Perhaps maybe the GOP will maintain its majority. Depends on voter turnout. But if you are a diehard Zohran Mamdani supporter and you were probably expecting him to lead the charge, which theoretically perhaps he should, but no, because there is no ground infrastructure. And this is something that I've brought up in the past about DSA and Justice Democrats, brand new Congress, our revolution. And in turn, I'll even throw third parties in this mix here too. Lay down the political infrastructure so you can fight the battles in the next years to come. That's the thing. And no one has. Zohran Mamdani winning can be argued as a fluke, but in comparison to who he was facing off against, no one should be surprised by it. But then again, as soon as he won the primary and as soon as more Democratic establishment leaders were endorsing and supporting him, is anyone not surprised that he's not changing his tune? It's just hilarious looking at their faces like this. It's like, thought there could be some sort of change, but no change at all. Nothing will fundamentally change because that's how it works in the realm of politics. So, what I would say for this midterm election cycle, if you're brokenhearted by this, especially if you went to bat for Zohran, expecting him to do these great big things. Remember, there's a system put in place to deny it, to be the roadblock. But there is an alternative. Citizen ballot initiatives, supporting movements and organizations in mutual aid not connected to the Democrat Party or Republican Party, and supporting and building up third parties and independents. That's more constructive. Because do you want to be lied to over and over and over and over and over again? And perhaps I'm being too cynical here. But there does come a point to where you have to wake up to reality and say, I am done being lied to, and move on. Because the more people that move away from both parties, the more everyone's going to wake up and realize that we don't need this two-party system. I'm done being lied to.